I feel like I'm on the scene of Breaking Bad or something. More like the scene of Breaking Bread. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Real Talks video. When thinking of the location that I wanted to shoot on for this video, I couldn't help but think of a better one for Lubbock than the barren dirt land that I found here. Say what you will about it, but it does give me a very open space to kind of move my arms. We have breathing room here. So to hop into kind of what we're going to be talking about today, basically a lot of it is stemming from what I've been reading in the book of 2 Kings. Now, as far as 2 Kings go, as far as that's been treating me, I have to say, I hate it.
Hate. Double hate. Loathe entirely.
That's right, I hate 2 Kings. I've had a lot of people ask me why I hate 2 Kings, and really, I think it's more of a generational thing. I will openly say that I probably misinterpret a lot of it. I probably read too much in it with my kind of new age Western American mind. That being said, for a lot of reasons, I don't like 2 Kings personally. However, I have been going through it, and today I want to share a little bit about what I've been learning in it. Really, the main thing that I've been realizing in 2 Kings, a lot of times, the king that does good in the eyes of the Lord meets a worse death or demise than the one who did evil in the eyes of the Lord does. And so on first thought, you're like, excuse me, what? I mean, aside from the absolute brutal death of Jezebel, so the question that comes up for me is basically what the title of the video will suggest. Is God working with you because of your actions or in spite of your actions? Now, this is kind of a tough question to answer and observe in the real world, and I don't think there's a black and white answer to that. However, I think there are some observable things that we can kind of take note of. First, I don't think any of us would deny that God gives good things to people who are not actively pursuing Him or living in His will. I mean, shoot, we fall directly in line with that. I mean, God has given us stuff while we were yet sinners. I mean, we're still in that same boat. So how can we tell a difference between something that God is giving us in spite of the way that we're acting because it falls in line with what He wants to do? How can we tell the difference between that and something that God is doing because we've been faithful? This is one thing I think 2 Kings has helped me to kind of diagnose the rhyme or the reason behind it. So Jesus came from the descendants of Judah. Now, when you read 2 Kings, you'll see that it talks about the kings of Israel, then it'll talk about the kings of Judah. And you'll see the difference is most of the kings of Israel are really bad. Most of the kings of Judah are pretty good. Some better than others, but still pretty good. Both Israel and Judah were exiled. It wasn't just Israel that got taken into captivity. No, Judah came too. But you know what came from Judah that didn't come from Israel? Jesus. That's right, the line of kings that had been faithful even till the end, even to the exile, that was the line that gave birth to Jesus. Salvation of all people came from the Jews. More specifically, it came from the line of the kings of Judah. So how then will this translate to something we can kind of observe in the modern day? I think while the ways of the world may be easier to imitate, they ultimately leave us in a place where it feels like spiritual death. I mean, just look around us. I mean, there are people hurting in so many different ways. So many of us think that we're going to accomplish one thing from our actions and it totally reaps another. I think that when we are in line with following what Jesus commands us to obey, we build a foundation that isn't shaken despite what the world is going to do. The Bible is very transparent about how shaky and from one thing to the next the world can be. But then it goes to show how sturdy the God of Israel, the God of Judah, and now the God of today that is living can be. This doesn't mean at all that the decision that Jesus or God gives us is going to be an easy one to make. But ultimately, He says, you're going to be at a better place if you trust me in this. One passage that has particularly stood out to me as far as this message goes is 2 Kings 17:15. In that verse it says, "They rejected His statutes and His covenant, which He had made with their ancestors, and the decrees He had given them. They pursued worthless idols and became worthless themselves, following the surrounding nations the Lord had commanded them not to imitate. Now in this, there's a clear distinction that's made. God tells us to give up the ways of the nations and the peoples around us in pursuit of something that He has defined as His. Now that line, they pursued worthless idols and became worthless themselves, rocked me to my core. Because I know where I'm at right now personally, I have even considered it better to follow the ways that I'm seeing all around me, because it's just a lot easier. And so now this message is worth sharing because I know that there's a way that's so much better for us to cope with. God gives us ways to cope with things. I think this even answers a bigger question that comes to my mind when I think of these verses. Why would we want to follow the ways of God if God is going to work in spite of us anyway? And the answer is really simple. It's for us. God allows us to work with Him for our benefit. Does that not just take the weight off your shoulders in so many ways? Because it does for me. It's this firm balance of realizing, hey, there's work to be done. I can partner with God in this. And now I don't have to have freaking everything on my shoulders. I think that's a good balance to have, because now not only are we in this feel-good state where all of a sudden we can love and appreciate ourselves, but we also recognize in a healthy way now the challenges that are before us and the ways that we can step into that. So I would encourage you in this verse to search for those ways. Be encouraged by the fact that God loves you where you're at, no matter what you've done or no matter what you will do. But also be confident that you can step forward, that you have work to do, and that you have grace when you're trying to take those steps. So step into the challenges that God has placed in your life and watch the great physician work healing. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video if you made it all the way through. Real quick at the end of this video, I know this is a little bit different, but I wanted to shout out that this summer I am going to serve Syrian refugees in Jordan. Now I am actually making really good progress towards this goal, but I still have a decent little bit to go. And so one way that you can help with that is I am selling these shirts and these stickers. Now these shirts are probably a little more expensive than I'd like them to be, but Comfort Colors are legit shirts, you guys. Thank you again for sticking around and watching this video. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.